Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm going to jump back on the AT-1 MX build. We're going to go ahead and load the transmission in, the crankshaft in, and get the cases put together, and maybe a little bit of the stuff on the clutch side. I already had this loaded, but I know how you guys enjoy watching me try to put all that stuff in there, and it never goes in right. So we'll see if I can get it in today and you can see it all go in. But usually I have to, just like you do, kind of have to fiddle around with it to get it in. So uh, let me get you overhead and I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, we've got it in the stand here, and I think I can get it all put together on here, but after I get the halves put together, then I'll of course have to take it out to kind of work on stuff on the other side. But anyhow, these are ready to go. I just need to get my lubricant in, and down here is the gear sets, and again, you've got to put all this together except for the pin on this one, on this shift arm. You can leave that out until you get it all in there. And remember that it needs to be in neutral when you're putting it in. And I'll show you again how that's determined. You've got the right here where the detent goes in, and your neutral safety button right here. Those need to be, the detent goes in right here. So this will be in here, and up here is the neutral light indicator. So once you've got all this together, you need to try to keep it there. I mean, if it gets off a little bit, it's not going to be a big issue, but you really need to try to get it fully installed with everything the way it's supposed to be, that way. So this is how it's going to have to go. You can see the detent right here pointing toward the detent, and the button for the neutral is pointing towards it. So if you've got everything loaded correctly, that's how that orientation should go. Let me see here if I can, I need to get everything lubricated on this up here first. And again, I like to use the pre-lube. I just use camshaft lifter pre-lube for cars. I know that a lot of people disagree with me on that, and that's okay. I just like it because it's thick and it's going to give me good protection at startup, and it's not going to run out of the bearing completely. You know, some will, but most of it won't. Okay, so I've got that pretty well in there. See, it's thick enough, it'll stay in there. All right, so we gather all this up. Make sure if you've got a washer, make sure the washer is on there. This particular one does have one. It really is pretty hard to get off, so you don't have to worry about it. So we'll just go with that, and we get a little lube here. I've already got some on these. Seemed like it kind of fell off, but make sure you've got some heavy lube on your shift arm followers. See, this one here, it fell off on me. Make sure you get that on there so that when you put these on, they'll stay put. And it also gives some grease for while you're trying to get it shipped. And you really don't need to hamper yourself by trying to lubricate all this stuff. You can lubricate all this when you get it in there. Okay, again, you line these up the best you can. You get this pointed approximately to the detent. This one here, oops. It's going to go that way. And this one's got to be on there too, but you don't have to get the pin in there. This is just how it always goes. I'm sure it probably won't all go in there, but we're going to give it the old college try here. Yeah, I think this shaft is off one. All right, let me fight this alone. Okay, I think I've kind of got it going here. Oops, that thing has lost the follower. Even at this. There, okay, I'm lucky and got it back in there. Let's see if we can get the pin in. I think everything else is, yeah, it appears to be in there. I think it just is having a little trouble getting through the bearing here. That thing turned on me a bit, just a little. Okay, I think we've got it. I'm going to check all my follower, on all the followers on the shift forks, make sure they're in. And I'm looking here, I want to show you what that looks like for your yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to. Let me get you off here. Okay, I'm hoping you can see this down inside the hole there. Well, I just don't know whether I'm going to be able to get you in there. I don't think I'm going to. My stand is in the way. There, maybe you can see it now. The detent on that follower, or on the drum, is lined up with the hole here where the detent goes in. And here on the inside, I think you can see the little ball bearing that sticks up there that contacts the switch. That's what you're going for. And you're going for all these followers to be in there still, and everything's in all the way. We've got the cam sticking, or the drum sticking out on this side, and we've got to get the clip in there. The clip in and the cover on it. That's my next goal. Okay, I've got this turned around here where you can kind of watch what I'm doing. If you don't do this, if you move this too much, it's going to fall out on you. So you want to make sure you get this keeper in here. Some of them have a washer on the back, and if you have trouble with shifting and you've already adjusted your this shift arm, then you may have to adjust this by sticking a thin washer under it. It just moves it in and out a little bit. But most of the time, if it came out without one, you're probably not going to need one to go back in. And these, they have a gasket. I make mine because I refuse to pay, I think it's almost $7 for a gasket. So I just make some out of some gasket material. You know, some things just border on ridiculous, and that's one of them. And this cover, all it really does is keep that little clip that you just put on from falling off. And these don't have to be real tight. This is also, if you have been following the channel, this was all broken up from a chain derailment at some time or another. And I had to weld this up and then rethread it. It was all busted up in here pretty good. So I think we've got that fixed. While I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and there's my detent. The spring is in there. The ball is on there. Put you some grease on there so you can control it. It goes in back here. I'm not going to run it all the way in until I'm done, but I'm going to give it something right there. And we can also take the neutral light switch and loosely install it also. And let's see, we've got, where'd it go? There, we've got a collar that goes on here, and that also needs a little bit of grease on it before you stick it in the seal. Just put a little on there so that the lip will, give it a little turn so the lip will follow in where it needs to go. All right. So let's get it turned back around. Okay, the next thing I'm going to install here is going to be the crankshaft. I've had that. This is the one we rebuilt not too long ago. If you do something like that, make sure to bag it so you don't get dirt in it. And I'm going to install my washer. And I'm going to put a little grease on that too, just so it doesn't fall out, because I may have to tap on the crankshaft a little bit to get it in. So I'm just going to put a little grease around here. Now these are the crankshaft, or the shims that I used when I checked the clearance in here. So it's the same one. So you've got that one on, and let's just see if it's going to go in. Let me get a little of that grease. Actually, I think I'll do some oil there. Just going to put a little Yamaha lube there. That's what I'm going to use in it, just to help it get through the bearing and the seal there. Okay, shim's still on. Sometimes these go in, sometimes you need to pull them in. I'm going to tap it on it with my plastic hammer a little bit. Nope, I think we're going to have to pull it through. So let me get set up to do that. Okay, I'm going to set up my crankshaft puller here. This piece goes on. Oops. Not yet. All right, this goes in, and this goes on. I'm using the Tusk flywheel puller, or crankshaft puller. And then you thread that piece in there. And you've got a little guide pin right here. There's a groove in the tool that needs to go in there. And a washer. And you want to make sure you get some grease on these too. I kind of keep mine grease oil, and you just want to keep a little bit of something on there so you don't end up galding the threads. Okay, just gonna make sure everything's still the way it should be, and you make sure that your rod is up so it doesn't get damaged. And we just start pulling this in. It'll pull in pretty hard, but it won't be terrible. You can hear it sliding through the bearing. I mean, if it's really hard, there's a problem. And we're just about there. Just keep that rod out of the way so it doesn't jam up. Okay, that's it. It's kind of a big deal to use this thing, but it sure works good. So everything's good and free and loose, and the seal looks like it's in the position it ought to be in. So we're good. Let me get it turned around now. Okay, the next thing we need to do here is clean our sealing surfaces really good. I use acetone, and in a lot of places, like around this dowel pin here, you can't really get in there very good. So I use Q-tips so that I can get that out of there, make sure that that's grease free. And I don't worry about using too many of them. I just don't think you can. You need to make sure that it's clean. You only want to do this once. Places that you can get in there with a rag, paper towel, that's okay. Just go ahead and use that. Use whatever means that you can. But I don't try to save Q-tips. I just try to get in there and get everything clean the best that I can. And again, the areas that are hard to get in, that's where I use the Q-tips. And just make sure that all your gears and everything turn freely. Everything's still the way it's supposed to be. Because it's easy to fix now, but you let it get you get the sealant on and get it all in there, then you got a mess, and it's extra work. And then again, the same thing on the other case half. Make sure everything's clean. Try not to leave any pieces of paper towel in there. Okay. And before we go much further, let's make sure we get our other crank shim on. It shouldn't go anywhere, but I'm going to put a little grease there on it. Get it on. Okay, so we've got all that on. All the gears are still moving the way they should. And before I get greasy in there, I'm going to go ahead and put the sealant on here. And what I do, I'm using the 3-bond, and I just put it in a hypodermic that I can get from the farm store. And we go ahead and it makes it easier to apply. You can just shoot it right in there from the tube that it comes in. Just makes it a little easier to apply. And it doesn't have to be real thick. Okay, I think that's all we're going to need on there. Just want to double sure that you've got everything there. I can get grease on all these except here, so I need to make sure I get a little of my assembly lube in that bearing before I install it. Just make sure you work it in good. All right. Just double check, make sure you've got everything you need covered. And everything is where it ought to be. You've got a dowel back here and a dowel right here. And I've got a yellow jacket flying around. Don't much care for yellow jackets. Just kind of have to guide everything over it. Just gently tap. Use a plastic or a rubber hammer. There we go. I think yep, we're good. Okay, everything appears to be still free. So we'll get it turned around and start putting some screws in. So what I do is, whatever I didn't use here, you just kind of backwards squeeze this thing and you can get most of it back in there. Yeah, I think that's about it, and that's about what I used. So get your lid back on that. All right, just going to get a couple of these kind of pulled up so that I can get the, I think I'm going to pull that one back out for sure to put the seal retainer on. I just want to get it pulled up all the way before the 3-bond starts setting up. All right, now we'll deal with the rest of them. Let me get that off the stand. Okay guys, there's the seal retainer. It's going to go in just like this. That keeps it in, so you have to put those in before you put those 2 screws in. And we'll just go ahead and get these run down. And then just kind of start working around on your kind of get my outside ones. Of course, you're in the way. Get out of the way. Okay guys, that's kind of the end of this here. It's just getting too long, so we'll have to get the clutch built up, the clutch cover side and everything done on the next one. But we did pretty good today. We got all the gear sets in, we got the crank in, we got the halves put together, so we've got a good start. And I thank you for going along on the ride, and I will see you next video.